This video is brought to you by Atom Tickets, the ticketing app and website service that makes going to the movies as easy as a real easy to use app or website, which is what it is. With the release of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, it became very apparent that much of what was promised in the promotional material didn't make it into the final cut, leaving audiences curious as to what deleted scenes exist. So what this video aims to do is not only break down those moments that were discarded, but also explore some other confirmed removed scenes, alternate endings, missing characters, and further details on Darth Vader. Also, we'll be going back as far as the inception of this project and how this movie came to be, plus run through a whole lot of early ideas that were scrapped during the filmmaking process. Then at the very end, you can see a recreation of what will most likely become one of the most iconic Star Wars moments in video game format that's pretty effing sweet. But I'll probably do that after the Atom ad as a kind of, commercial break. I mean, I know that'll annoy some people, but hey, what can you do? I mean, I can change it, but I won't. Oh, and also there's also going to be a Loot Crate giveaway. That's not a promotion, that's just a thing. That's the thing I do every week. Okay, let's get into it. Because this introduction's been way too long. What am I doing? This isn't good video making, probably. Rogue One began life as a simple story pitch from John Knoll, ILM Chief Creative Officer, whose work with Star Wars dates back to the prequels. His ideas centered around a few short sentences from the crawl of the original film, a band of rebel spies capturing the Death Star plans in the hopes of finding and exploiting a hidden weakness. And spoiler alert, they did. And a second spoiler alert, they did it again. Oh, and also another spoiler alert. They did it a third time. This is pretty much a Death Star. The story treatment was 7 pages long, titled Destroyer of Worlds, and came complete with character bios that breathed life into this previously unknown band of heroes, in the new Star Wars canon at least. To get an idea of tone, Knoll cut together a sizzle reel for both reference and inspiration. The end result was a mix of Hunt for Red October and Mission Impossible, with a focus on being militaristic, streamlined, and self-contained. The pitch was also super low budget, presumably not including the digital recreation of a man long dead at the cost of millions of dollars, with even Knoll suggesting that the project recycles sets from The Force Awakens. This obviously never came to be, but one character, Hoodo Always Screaming, was a design that was supposed to appear in Episode 7, but did bleed over into Rogue One. The original group included K2SO, a reprogrammed Imperial droid, Jyn Erso, Lunak, and Senna, who were later replaced by a different duo, Dre Nevis, Riatala, and Jerris Kestrel. K2SO and Jyn Erso were the ones who survived the most intact into the final movie, with Senna going through a number of changes along the way. He became a flat-headed, hammer-headed looking monster, a whale-looking octopus-head monster, alien Kratos, and a dog. He eventually evolved into Moroth, who, although present in a lot of the marketing material, ended up getting very little screen time. Though some very early concept art details Senna in possession of an Imperial computer system housing the Death Star, mounting an escape whilst under blaster fire. Baze and Chirrut joined the cast of characters. They were written in order to continue the tradition of classic Star Wars duos like Han and Chewie, and Dexter Jettster and Flo, the WA-7 waitress droid. Krennic also went through a number of alternate designs, like all characters do, including sporting severe scarring on one side, presumably due to his part in the Clone Wars. And interestingly, he was originally going to be part of the team, but acted as an Imperial spy, reporting back to an officer called Willix. Saw Gerrera was added, a character carried over from the Clone Wars animated series, this time imbued with a number of injuries, with a final design being settled on a haphazardly constructed Darth Vader-styled life support suit. In 2014, Gareth Edwards was officially announced as the project's director and came on board a couple of days before the release of his Godzilla remake. Though he was hired not because of that project, but because of the resourcefulness he demonstrated in making 2010's Monsters, where he acted as the writer, director, cinematographer, production designer, and visual effects artist. It was also his idea for Jyn Erso to become the center and heart of the story, with her at one point to have a younger brother and a Jedi mother. Her father, though, in one way or another, was always the one responsible for the design of the Death Star super laser. But in order for the movie to accurately explore the concept of broken faith in a galaxy without hope, most elements concerning the survival of the Jedi were removed, including Jyn's mother being Force sensitive. The standoff at the beginning of the film also at one point had Jyn being restrained by stormtroopers and not remaining hidden, later to be rescued. The Death Troopers were also to be a tad more sinister, with helmets too small, indicating that they'd been augmented, removing elements of their humanity. Some of these ideas survived in this background character, who was part of the Decraniated. They act as servants, with all higher brain function stripped away. K2SO also began as an Imperial protocol droid, like what we got here, going through a number of designs before being changed to a security droid. There was a black Imperial astromech droid, which a bit of a fuss was made over before release, but that didn't end up appearing for whatever reason. Probably a good one, I don't know. And on Jeddah, as what I presume is some kind of callback to the Dewbacks from A New Hope, stormtroopers are seen riding a local creature nicknamed the Jeddah Camel, which was also removed. The U-Wing went through a number of alternate designs, what seems like thousands, including being Z, Q, and R-Wings. The idea was to make something so cool that if you sat a toy of it next to an X-Wing, a kid would go for the U-Wing. It was thought initially that the ship was to be like the Millennium Falcon in terms of size, and even for it to have a smaller ship which would detach and land on the surface, much like how the Ghost and Phantom operate from Rebels. Slight variations on some of the worlds we saw also existed. Jeddah appeared more industrial and ravaged by mining, as did Scarif. Scarif was also to have housed the Death Star focusing dish and was to be seen raised off the planet and then installed into the space station. One of my favourite moments from the film was the inclusion of Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar, a place detailed to be extremely evil and uncomfortable, and yet the only location that Vader himself feels comfortable. The design for the Bacta tank went through multiple iterations, at one point for it to be looking over the lava field where he dueled and lost. Real bad. It was super embarrassing to Obi-Wan. It's also supposed to act as a day spa for Vader, a place he can remove his armor and replenish his ailing body. Sith artwork also lines the walls as a way to tell people like Krennic, look, I know you're important, but you're clearly not this evil. Also, deep below the castle is a natural cave of Sith origin in a lava field. Interestingly, when this area is described in The Art of Rogue One, it says, we don't see it right now, which implies to me that we may be getting more of this location in the future, perhaps even in episode 8 or 9. Also in the novelization of Rogue One, Varney, I don't know how you say it, his creepy assistant reminds Krennic as he's leaving that it's an honor to visit Vader's inner sanctum and not to tell anyone of what he's seen. Krennic is also left wondering if Vader is human at all, and that perhaps he's some kind of unidentified alien creature. He's not though, he's this guy here. There were 3 movies about him, you probably saw him. On the topic of the novelization, there's a number of notable additions. Not all necessarily deleted scenes, but they at the very least expand on what we got in the film. We know that 3% of the Imperial forces on Jeddah were left behind, obliterated when the city was destroyed, along with the little girl Jyn saves, whose final moments are detailed. The character of Bodhi Rook is fleshed out, saying how he first met Galen in a queue for food in a mess hall on Edu, and he finds common ground with K2SO as they both sport Imperial insignia, despite defecting from the Empire in their own unique ways. You also get to witness K2SO stalk and attack another KX series droid in order to download a facility map, which we only caught a glimpse of in the movie, and in his final moments before shutting down, he realizes he can survive another 43 days by rerouting power, but doing so would result in the capture of Jyn and Cassian, so he chooses self-sacrifice. Mon Mothma also gets a bit more play. It's made clear that she is the most wanted woman in the galaxy and was at one point pushing a Senate vote to demilitarize the Empire. That's before confirmation of the Death Star's existence is obtained. And in the final battle, Baze Metal Gear Solids a stormtrooper from behind some plant life, removes his helmet and smashes his head on a rock, killing him. I'm not sure whether this was included in the junior novelization. It's been reported that up to 40% of the film was reshot, and it's clearly a large amount considering what we saw in the trailers. Though that being said, that percentage is not confirmed. Plus, it's been said that 40% reshoots would mean adding the required special effects would be next to impossible. However, we know that director and writer Tony Gilroy was brought in to help streamline the reshooting process, and his salary was reportedly as high as $5 million. But here's just some of the material that we got that didn't make the final cut.
State your name for the record.
Jyn Erso.
Forgery of Imperial documents, possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, resisting arrest.
I rebel.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Good. The captain says you are a friend. I will not kill you.
Thanks.
The power that we are dealing with here is immeasurable. What will you do when they catch you? If you continue to fight, what will you become?
Interesting to see there's quite a lot of Vader there, and I wonder what the thought process was behind taking all that out, unless it was just shot for marketing purposes. I also have pretty good reason to suspect that the final showdown between Jin and Krennic takes place on the beach. I mean, we've seen this shot of him wading through the water, and also this. What I think originally happened is Jin gets hold of the plans and then makes a mad dash across the battlefield to upload or transmit or whatever the data from a different location. So basically, the Imperial data vault and the satellite weren't in the same building. And in doing this, she's confronted by Krennic on the way. Gareth Edwards has acknowledged that a lot from the trailers is missing from this film, saying that marketing loved those shots, but when he said, you know, that's not in the movie, they said, you know what, we just use the best of what you've done. It's what marketing does. Thanks a lot, marketing. Edwards, however, did say that even though all that isn't in the film, it's still in the spirit of the film. It is kind of a shame that a lot was changed. I mean, as a result, the prequel novel Catalyst was heavily rewritten, and the prequel comic book was cancelled altogether. But in my opinion, it didn't result in the movie being a total disaster. You might think differently, and that's okay. It'd be a boring old world if we were all the same. That's what my grandma used to say. That being said, she didn't know anything about Star Wars. So, you know, what would she know? There was also said to be a very early version of the screenplay where they didn't all die, because Edwards didn't think that Disney would allow everybody to be wiped out, but Kathleen Kennedy and everyone higher up was like, yeah, you know, that makes sense because none of these people appear in the other movies. He was always, though, expecting someone to go, just film a little bit extra with Jin and Cassian, you know, where they're on another planet and they're okay, but no one ever gave him that note, and we got the ending that we got. The one you saw, if you saw Rogue One. And if you didn't, spoilers for everything I said prior to this. But if that's the case for you, what are you doing here? You're a madman. Okay, as promised, an amazing video game recreation of Darth Vader just killing a bunch of rebellion soldiers in glorious 16-bit. Oh, sorry, wait. I nearly forgot my ad for Adam. I feel like an idiot. Don't worry though, I'll take care of it now. Come along with me, because if you like movies, this might actually interest you. Okay, so Adam is this new movie ticketing app and website that makes going to the movies a bloody breeze, mate. It simplifies everything. The movie you want to see, coordinating with friends, buying concessions. It's movie going for the 21st century, they said I should say. So no matter where you are, you can browse showtimes for films in your area, get everyone on the same page for what you want to see, organize a night out and skip queues by purchasing tickets and pre-ordering your concessions. Plus it's free, so you know, why not? It costs literally nothing to download, so you know, just get it. Get the app. Alright, here we go. Amazing. And I can safely say that because I didn't make it. Alright, here's the winner of last week's Loot Crate. Just private message me these details on my channel and it's all yours. And if you want to win next week's box, just leave any comment below. Maybe something removed from Rogue One that you'd like to see resurface, or a scene you think could have been cut from the movie, or even an idea of your own which you have liked to have seen present in the film. And if you leave a like, I'd appreciate that. And maybe it'll help you win that box. That being said, I can't confirm whether you liked this video or not. You know, I'm not a wizard. Also, if you like Rogue One and Easter eggs, there's my incredibly extensive, probably too extensive video in that clickable link there that even works on mobile. And in the description below is my podcast, The Weekly Planet, where every Monday we talk about movies and comics and TV shows. And this coming episode, we're talking the best and worst movies of 2016. It's a great-ish time, depending, you know, on the week. And, you know, whether it's, you know, the kind of thing that interests you. It'd be a boring old world, though, if we were all the same. That's what my grandma used to say. She was pretty great. You probably would have liked her. But thanks for watching this. I appreciate it. Take care.